Today, March 6, 2026, was meant to be the most important day in the history of 21st century exploration. At this exact moment, 4 astronauts, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen, were supposed to be feeling the vibration of 8 million pounds of thrust as the SLS rocket cleared the tower. Instead, the pad is empty. The birds are the only thing flying at Cape Canaveral today. While the world was waiting for a countdown, NASA was busy moving the goalposts. Last week, the agency quietly rolled the $4 billion Artemis II rocket back into the VAB hangar, and then they dropped a bombshell that has effectively ended the moon race as we knew it. Today, we are investigating the technical failure that paralyzed the SLS, the secret Apollo playbook NASA just dusted off, and why a tiny probe a million miles away called IMAP is the only thing keeping the mission from being a total death trap. Let's talk objective facts. Why aren't we in space today? It's not just bad weather, it's helium, specifically a terminal flow interruption in the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, ICPS. Think of helium as the lifeblood of a rocket. It is used to purge the engines and keep the fuel tanks pressurized so they do not implode. During the wet dress rehearsal on February 19th, everything looked green, but on February 24th the system flatlined. NASA engineers found a gremlin in the plumbing that can only be fixed inside the vehicle assembly building. This isn't just a leak, it's a validation crisis. NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman admitted that expectations are rightfully high given the $50 billion price tag, but as of today, the March window is gone. We are now looking at April 1st at the earliest. But while the SLS is in the shop, something much bigger is happening behind closed doors. On February 27th, NASA officially gave up on the 2027 moon landing. They didn't use those words, of course. They called it an architecture refinement. Artemis III, the mission that was supposed to put boots on the South Pole, has been stripped of its landing gear. Instead of landing, Artemis III will now stay in low Earth orbit to test docking procedures. Why? Because the landers aren't ready. Elon Musk's Starship HLS has completed 11 flights, but it still hasn't reached stable orbit or proven it can refuel in space. Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin are smelling blood in the water. NASA is now pitting the 2 billionaires against each other in a high-stakes duel. NASA is basically saying, whoever gets a working lander to us first gets the moon. By moving the landing to Artemis IV in 2028, NASA just handed a massive head start to China, but they had no choice. And it all comes down to safety and a probe called IMAP. You've probably never heard of IMAP, the Interstellar Mapping and Acceleration Probe, but as of February 1st, 2026, it is officially the most important safety officer in the solar system. While the SLS is stuck on Earth, IMAP is already a million miles away at the L1 Lagrange point. Why does this matter for the astronauts? Space isn't just empty. It's a shooting gallery of high-energy particles. IMAP's job is to map the heliosphere, the magnetic bubble that protects us from galactic radiation. More importantly, it gives NASA a 30-minute early warning for solar storms. If a massive solar flare hits while our astronauts are in the Orion capsule, they are essentially sitting in a microwave. IMAP is the weather station that tells them when to hide in the shielded part of the ship. Without the data IMAP started collecting last month, NASA wouldn't even consider sending a crewed mission beyond Earth's orbit. It's the invisible shield of the Artemis program. So where does that leave us? Today, March 6th, is a reminder that space is hard, expensive, and unforgiving. We are now in a basics phase. NASA is standardizing its rockets, SpaceX is rushing to prove Starship version 3 can refuel, and Blue Origin is trying to leapfrog everyone with the Blue Moon Mark II. The goal is now a cadence of 1 launch per year, starting in 2027. But with China aiming for 2030, the margin for error has disappeared. If the April window for Artemis II slips, the entire decade of American space dominance might slip with it. What do you think? Should NASA stop relying on the $4 billion SLS and just wait for SpaceX and Blue Origin to finish their landers? Or is the SLS the only thing we can actually trust? Tell us in the comments if you think we'll still make it by 2028. Subscribe to stay updated on the April 1st launch window. This is NASA Community News. The pad is empty, but the race is just beginning.